Right, because you're 6'2", right?
Yes. Now I was 6'2", but now I'm probably 6'1" with these knees, brother.
Right. I mean, these days the average height of an NBA player is 6'7". I'm sure it
Right.
was probably a little bit less back then, but still
Right.
6'2" is shorter than most NBA players. So
Right.
you really had to be a beast out there to make your mark.
And that's the thing is that, when we look at this social media and the way the game is critiqued, it was a different generational critiquing. It was more, I tell people the best players during the period of time we came through were on the corner who were drinking wine, smoking weed, doing drugs because they couldn't conform. But when you get them on the court, they had monster game. So it was a level of conformity. Well, now a lot of that conformity is if you can hoop, you can hoop, and people are going to allow you to play, and you're going to be able to bring a certain amount of whatever your personality baggage might be, and get away with it because we're in this era of the game where the players control the game to such a degree that a lot is allowed that would not have even been tolerated during the period of time that we were coming through the game, maturing in the game, and definitely on a professional level. When I see some of the things that have gone on in the past, whether it be professional players throwing up gang signs, what is all that about? To me, it's a whole different level of consciousness that we played the game with. And I think the music has a lot to do with it. And I tell people all the time, the music and the manner in which the cultural influences during time, so you see those waves dictate themselves within the context of the game.
Okay, so you end up going to Long Beach State,
Yes,
and you played under Tex Winter.
absolutely, man. And to me, he's like my granddad, and I know they're both in heaven talking talking about sports and everything else, man. So it's one of those things where, for me, Tex Winter recruited me when I was probably 16 after my sophomore year at Rich East, in fact, and he wanted me to go to Northwestern, and I told him at that point, Coach, I'm trying to get as far away from these winters as possible, and he got the job at Long Beach State my senior year. And came to me. I was one of his first recruits from Chicago. He took 4 of us out there with him, and it was a blessing, man, to be able to. I grew up watching the UCLA, championships under John Wooden and seeing them guys come out in T-shirts and shorts after games. That was appealing to me. It looked like it was fun, and so when he got the job at Long Beach and he offered me a scholarship, I jumped at it. And he'd say, Craig, you can't sign right away. I'm like, I want to sign before you get a scholarship to somebody else, but it was a blessing because it gave me a chance to study what I grew up under. I grew up in a reality of social consciousness, grew up in a reality of civil rights, and then to get a chance to go to Long Beach on a basketball scholarship. Unbeknownst to me at the time, it was going to be the most critical move I made from an intellectual end, from a chance to study, from an academic end, to get a chance to study under Dr. Maulana Karenga, the founder of Kwanzaa, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, Dr. Amin Ra, and the list goes on in as far as the influence and impact they had on me in developing research method into solutions that can change the condition of all your people worldwide, not just African and African Americans, but African Brits, African Australians. Wherever we may be, we all have that we carry that same thread of culture and kinship. And I could never thank Tex enough to be able to have had that. A lot of people, and so when we look at some of the moves I made, whether it's going to the White House, whether wearing a dashiki to the White House, or some of the stance that I've taken, it was not out of character. You know what I'm saying? It was how I was taught. It was how I was raised. And a lot of people wasn't raised the way I was.
Well, you graduated in 1982.
Yes.
And then you joined the draft.
Yes.
And you got picked up by the San Diego Clippers.
Absolutely. And once again, you look at those moves that were made earlier. They put you in a position to be drafted. I look at the moves, whether it be a high school game that Tex Winter saw me play as a sophomore that wanted him to recruit me, and then that went to Long Beach. My senior year, I played a game at San Diego State, and the Zach Jones was one. It was the 3 top guards on the West Coast was Dwight Anderson, Craig Hodges, and Zach Jones. And Zach Jones played at San Diego State, and we were playing him in San Diego Arena. And that was probably one of my best shooting nights of my career. I was 13 for 13, had 26 points, not knowing that Paul Silas was watching from the top, who was the coach for the San Diego Clippers. And when I got drafted, Paul told me the story of how he came to the game with Zach Jones being the guard that he wanted to select because he had watched Zach play and only had never seen me play. And he said when he saw me shoot the basketball without dribbling it, he said he wanted me on his team. And then when I got to the Clippers, I was the 48th player picked in the draft overall. And during that time, it was 10 rounds. The first 2 rounds came on ESPN. So my family, and to go back, 1982 was the first year that they had the pre-draft camp. So I was blessed to be an alternate in the pre-draft camp. So having graduated, the pre-draft camp was going to be in Chicago. So Tex, who was part of the selection committee, told me if I came home, I would have more of a chance as an alternate if someone didn't show up, that they would bring me in. So sure enough, I'm sitting Park Forest, 30 minutes from downtown Chicago. In the morning of the pre-draft camp, I get a call from Tex about 12 o'clock, and he tells me, yeah, player didn't show up. How soon can you? And before he could say anything, I clicked the phone, and I'm at the Hyatt Regency asking him, hey, coach, I'm here. He's like, when did you catch a helicopter? I was like, no, man, I've been ready for this opportunity. And to get a chance to go in the pre-draft camp and see Red Auerbach, Jerry West, John Havlicek, all the greats that were there combined to watch young players that were potential draft candidates. And I had a good camp. And the Clippers end up picking me. And I got a chance to play for Donald Sterling, of all people, and to see how the whole the circles of life, man, and to see how he was part and parcel of the racial profile of the NBA in so many ways, and so many ways that the NBA doesn't want to look at that through a real true lens, man.
Did you see the hints of racism when you played under Sterling?
I was taught probably my second day of meeting Bill Walton. He saw something in me that he liked, and he told me I was going to be player rep. No rookies are ever player rep over veterans. But anyway, he told me, he said, you know, it's something about you that I like, and always remember this. Stay the hell away from management. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm a rookie. You Bill Walton, you know better than me. So it was almost a thing to me when I saw management. I went the other way. As a young player, I never interacted with management. So I saw Donald Sterling from afar. There was a time when he signed a check, or whoever signed our check, and we went to the bank, and it wasn't there until the next week. It was stuff like that happened, within the organization that was, but his history was one of a slumlord, and I studied that, so I kept my base where I needed to be, and I was traded out when we moved to LA, and I was glad of it, man.